Commander Alex Quinn sat in the cockpit of the starship Endeavour, staring out at the vast emptiness of space. The deep black of the galaxy stretched endlessly before him, filled with countless stars and unknown worlds. But in that moment, all he could think about was the mission ahead. It had been a quiet week in the fleet, and he'd almost forgotten what it was like to be on the edge of danger. That was about to change. His screen beeped, pulling him from his thoughts. A signal appeared, flashing across his interface. Distress signal. Unknown origin. The transmission was faint, distorted, but it was there, and it was coming from a distant planet on the far side of the galaxy. He'd been a part of the fleet long enough to recognize the urgency of a distress signal. This was not a drill.
"Captain, we've got a distress call coming in. It's coming from that system," Alex said, pointing at the holographic map in front of him.
The captain, a seasoned officer with years of experience, gave him a quick nod. Plot a course. Let's find out who's calling. Within moments, the ship's navigation system engaged, and Endeavour turned toward the distant planet. Alex sat back in his seat, the hum of the engines beneath him almost comforting. He was used to long space travels, but this felt different. There was something about the signal that made him uneasy. Why would anyone be so far out in this uncharted region, and why had they sent a distress call now? As the ship approached the planet, the atmosphere on board grew tense. The crew worked efficiently, preparing for whatever lay ahead. The planet below was a deep shade of blue and green, teeming with life. From the surface, it looked peaceful, untouched by the chaos of war. Yet, the message they had received told a different story. There was something wrong, something that needed to be fixed. They touched down in a clearing just outside the boundaries of an enormous palace. It was a stunning structure with towering spires that seemed to reach toward the sky, almost as if trying to touch the stars themselves. The architecture was unlike anything Alex had ever seen before. Elegant, sophisticated, and alien. The palace was built from materials that seemed to shimmer and change color as the light shifted. It was clear that whoever lived here had mastered technology beyond anything humanity had achieved. Yet there was a quiet sadness in the air, a sense of loss that Alex couldn't shake. As he stepped out of the ship, he felt a strange pull. The air was thick with the scent of flowers, but there was something in the atmosphere that felt heavy. His boots crunched against the soft ground as he walked toward the entrance of the palace. The massive doors, made of some translucent material, slid open as he approached, revealing the grand interior of the palace. Inside, the walls were lined with strange symbols and alien devices, some of which hummed with an energy Alex couldn't quite understand. This was a place of great power, but also one of deep mystery.
"Commander Quinn," a voice called out from the shadows. "Welcome to my world."
Alex turned to see a figure emerging from the darkness.
She was tall, her features sharp and delicate, almost ethereal. Her skin was a soft shade of lavender, and her eyes glowed faintly with an inner light. She was dressed in a flowing robe that shimmered in the dim light of the palace, her every movement graceful, yet filled with purpose. She was unlike any being Alex had ever encountered.
"My name is Princess Aradia," she said,
her voice calm and measured.
"I've been waiting for you."
Alex took a moment to process her words. He had been expecting some sort of alien leader, but this was something else entirely. There was an aura of power about her, something that spoke of ages of knowledge and wisdom. Yet there was also a sadness in her eyes, a look of desperation that made Alex's heart skip a beat. "Princess," he said, his voice steady, though inside, he was grappling with the realization that this was not an ordinary situation.
"We received your distress signal. What's going on here?" Aradia's gaze faltered for a moment, as if she were weighing her words.
She took a step closer, her presence almost overwhelming in its intensity. "The galaxy is dying," she said, her voice low. "My people are on the brink of extinction, and we've lost everything. Our resources, our technology, our way of life.
We're on the edge of a war that we cannot win. Alex took a step forward, sensing the gravity of her words.
He had faced his share of wars, but this felt different. This wasn't just about survival. It was about the future of an entire species, one that he didn't even know existed until now. "Who's attacking you?" Alex asked, his voice steady but filled with a growing urgency. He couldn't help but feel that this was more than just a simple rescue mission. There was something deeper at play here. Aradia's eyes darkened, and she glanced away, as though the weight of the answer was too much to bear. "They are called the Zartal, a race of conquerors who have swept through the galaxy, destroying everything in their path. They have technology that is far beyond our own, and they are relentless. My people have tried to fight back, but we are losing. And now?"
"Now they are coming for me!" Alex felt a chill run down his spine.
The Zartal. He had heard whispers of them in military circles, invaders with weapons so advanced they made human technology seem like toys. Entire fleets had fallen to their power, planets had been reduced to ashes. And now, it seemed, they were coming for this princess and her world.
How can we help? Alex asked, his mind already racing through possible strategies.
He was a soldier, trained to act, to find solutions. But this was beyond anything he had faced before. This wasn't just a battle. This was the survival of an entire civilization. Aradia hesitated, as if unsure of how much to reveal. But then she spoke again, her voice quiet, but filled with determination. "There is a weapon," she said. "An ancient artifact that could turn the tide of the war."
"But it's hidden, and no one has been able to find it. I need you to help me find it, Commander."
Alex nodded slowly, his thoughts moving at lightning speed. He didn't know what this weapon was, or how it could help. But one thing was certain. If the princess's people had any hope of survival, this was their best shot. And if there was one thing Alex Quinn knew how to do, it was fight for survival. "We'll find it," he said. "Together." The journey into the unknown had begun, and Alex felt the weight of it pressing down on him with each passing hour. The Endeavor had landed safely on the alien planet, but the real mission was just beginning. As he followed Princess Aradia through the shimmering halls of her palace, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything he knew about war, survival, and even humanity was about to be tested in ways he couldn't predict. Aradia led him to a grand room where maps and alien devices covered the walls. They were etched with strange symbols and unfamiliar equations. The air hummed with the soft glow of energy, and Alex could feel the power of the room, as though it held secrets that the galaxy had long forgotten.
"This is where we study our past," Aradia explained, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. "The knowledge of my people."
Before the Zartal came, we were an empire. We had the technology to reshape entire systems, to create peace across the stars. But it was all lost when the Zartal attacked. Our once great cities now lie in ruin, and our technologies have been destroyed. Alex looked around, taking in the vast array of alien technology. Some of the devices were familiar, with their sleek designs and advanced energy cores. Others, however, seemed to defy the laws of physics as Alex understood them. It was as though they were from a different time, a different reality altogether. "Can you show me how this works?" Alex asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. If he was going to help her people, he needed to understand everything they had, even if it was beyond human comprehension. Aradia hesitated, then nodded. "I will show you what I can. But understand this, Commander. Our technology is powerful, yes, but it comes at a cost. Many of our greatest inventions were designed to protect us, but they have also left us vulnerable. The Zartal have learned how to exploit our weaknesses." She walked over to a large console in the center of the room where intricate patterns of light and energy swirled. With a few movements, she activated the system, and a holographic display appeared. The image was of a massive energy field, an intricate network that stretched across the galaxy, touching countless worlds. "This is the heart of Myra," Aradia said, her voice reverberating with both pride and regret. "It is the core of our power, the energy source that fueled our civilization. But when the Zartal came, they found a way to disrupt it, to weaken it. Now, the heart is slowly dying, and with it, our planet." Alex studied the hologram, trying to make sense of the alien technology. The network of energy was beautiful, but it seemed fragile, like a web that could snap at any moment. He could understand the urgency now. If the heart of Myra failed, it would be the end of everything for Aradia's people. Their world would be reduced to ashes, just like the other civilizations the Zartal had conquered.
"So, this weapon you mentioned," Alex said, shifting his focus back to their mission.
"Do you think it's related to this heart of Myra? Can it help save your people?" Aradia's eyes darkened.
"I don't know. The weapon is a mystery, even to us."
"It was hidden by the ancient rulers of my people, long before the Zartal ever came. They believed that if it were ever needed, it could turn the tide of any war. But no one has been able to find it, not even our greatest minds."
Alex clenched his fists, determination rising within him.
He had faced impossible odds before, but this was something different. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the future of an entire species, one that had been brought to the brink of extinction by a ruthless enemy. He couldn't fail now, not when so much was at stake. "I'll help you find it," Alex said, his voice firm. "I'll search every inch of this place if I have to."
"But we need to move fast. The Zartal won't wait."
Aradia looked at him, her gaze steady. For a moment, Alex saw a flicker of hope in her eyes, a hope that had been absent since their first meeting. She nodded slowly, as if weighing his words carefully. "I will take you to the archives," she said, her voice soft but resolute.
"It is the last place where we might find any information about the weapon. It is hidden deep beneath the palace, in a chamber that was sealed off long ago."
Only the royal family knew the way. They walked together through the palace, moving deeper into its heart. The corridors grew darker, and the air grew colder, as though the very walls held memories of a time long past. Alex couldn't help but feel the weight of history pressing down on him. This place had once been a symbol of power, but now it felt like a tomb, silent, forgotten, and filled with secrets. Finally, they reached a large chamber, its entrance guarded by ornate doors made of some kind of translucent crystal. Aradia raised her hand, and the doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a room filled with ancient tomes, scrolls, and artifacts. The archives were vast, stretching out in all directions, filled with the knowledge of generations of her people. "This is where we preserve our history," Aradia explained, her voice almost reverent. "But it's also where we keep our most precious secrets. If the weapon exists, it will be here." Alex stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room. The shelves were lined with intricate books, their pages written in symbols that were completely alien to him. He had no idea how any of it could be useful, but he knew that time was running out. Every second they spent here was one more second the Zartal could use to destroy her world. Aradia led him to a section at the far end of the room, where a set of ancient stone tablets lay. They were covered in dust, as though no one had touched them in centuries. With a flick of her wrist, she brushed the dust away, revealing a set of inscriptions that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light of the room. "These are the records of our royal family," she said, her fingers tracing the symbols on the tablets. "They were the ones who hid the weapon. They believed it was too dangerous for anyone to wield, and so they sealed it away." Alex studied the inscriptions carefully, trying to make sense of the ancient language. It was clear that these texts held the key to finding the weapon, but he couldn't decipher them. He needed help. "Can we get some help with this?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "We need to figure this out fast." Aradia nodded, her expression thoughtful. There is one person who might be able to help. My advisor, Tarek. He was a scholar before the war, and he knows more about our ancient texts than anyone. With renewed urgency, they made their way to Tarek's quarters, a small room tucked away in the corner of the palace. The advisor was an older man, his face lined with age and experience. His eyes were sharp, though, and as he listened to Aradia explain the situation, his expression grew serious. "You're searching for the weapon," Tarek said, his voice low. "I have heard of it, though I've never seen it." The records are sparse, but there are hints. The weapon was said to be hidden in a place of great power, a place where the heart of Myra could be reawakened.
Aradia's eyes widened. "You know where it is?" Tarek nodded. "I believe so, but it will not be easy to find."
The weapon is hidden within the Temple of Myra, deep beneath the palace, but it is also protected by powerful forces, ancient defenses that even my people feared. Alex clenched his fists, a sense of purpose rising within him. "We'll find a way. We have to." Aradia looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and hope. "Then let us go. We have no time to waste." Together, they set out toward the temple, the weight of their mission heavy in the air. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with dangers and obstacles. But Alex was ready. He had seen humanity fight against impossible odds before, and he wasn't about to let a distant alien world fall without a fight. The air was thick with tension as Alex, Aradia, and Tarek stood before the entrance to the Temple of Myra. It was a place of legend, spoken of in hushed tones by the people of Aradia's world. And now, they had come to uncover its secrets. The massive stone doors of the temple loomed before them, covered in symbols and glowing with an eerie light, as though they were alive. The temple was ancient, its design far beyond anything Alex had seen in human civilization. It was a testament to a forgotten time, a time when Aradia's people were masters of the galaxy. But now, it was a place of mystery and danger, a place that had been sealed away for centuries. It was said to hold the weapon that could turn the tide of the war, the weapon that could save Aradia's world from the destruction that the Zartal were bringing. But finding it would not be easy. "This is it," Aradia said, her voice quiet but filled with determination. "The weapon lies within, but the temple is protected by ancient defenses. We'll need to be careful." Alex nodded, his eyes scanning the temple's surroundings. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. This was no ordinary mission. This was a battle for the future of an entire civilization, one that had been brought to the brink of extinction by the ruthless Zartal. Every step they took in this temple would bring them closer to either victory or failure. Tarek stepped forward, his face grim as he examined the door.
"The ancient texts speak of trials," he said. "This temple was built to protect the weapon, and only those worthy can enter."
"We will need to pass the trials if we are to succeed." Alex's mind raced. Trials. That meant danger, obstacles designed to test them. He had faced many challenges before. But this was different. The stakes were higher than ever. But he had come this far, and he wasn't about to back down now. "We can handle it," Alex said, his voice steady. "We've got no choice but to move forward." With a deep breath, Aradia stepped up to the door and placed her hand on the smooth surface. The symbols on the door began to glow brighter, and with a low rumble, the massive stone door slowly began to open, revealing the dark interior of the temple. The air that escaped from within was cold and musty, as though it had been untouched for centuries. Inside, the temple was vast. Tall, towering columns stretched up to the ceiling, disappearing into the shadows above. The walls were adorned with carvings that told the story of Aradia's people, battles fought, empires built, and the fall of their civilization at the hands of the Zartal. It was a place of reverence, a place of loss. "This is it," Aradia whispered, her voice echoing in the empty space. The heart of my people. The weapon should be hidden somewhere inside. They stepped cautiously into the temple, their footsteps echoing through the silent halls. The air was thick with the weight of the past, and Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The very walls of the temple seemed to hold secrets, as though the building itself was alive, waiting for something. Or someone. As they made their way deeper into the temple, the first trial revealed itself. The floor beneath them suddenly shifted, and a massive stone wall began to rise from the ground, blocking their path. This must be one of the trials, Tarek said, his voice tense. We need to solve this puzzle if we want to move forward. Alex studied the wall closely. It was covered in intricate patterns, like a giant lock, with symbols that seemed to shift and change when he looked at them. It was a test, a riddle of some sort. He could feel the pressure mounting. Every second they wasted was another second the Zartal could use to find them, to destroy Aradia's world.
We don't have much time, Alex said, his mind working quickly.
We need to figure this out, now. Aradia stepped forward, her eyes scanning the symbols. The ancient texts speak of balance, she said. This lock is based on the principle of balance between light and darkness, creation and destruction. We need to align the symbols in the right order to open the path. Alex's mind raced. He had no experience with alien puzzles, but he had faced similar challenges before. He knew the key to solving this was to think logically, to find the pattern that would unlock the way forward. He stepped closer to the wall, his hand hovering over the shifting symbols. He could feel the energy in the air, the power of the temple pressing in on him. He reached out, touching one of the symbols. It shifted, glowing faintly under his fingertips. Got it, he said. Now we just need to find the right combination. Aradia and Tarek watched as Alex worked, moving quickly, aligning the symbols one by one. There was a moment of silence, then a soft click. The massive stone wall began to recede into the floor, revealing the path ahead. That's one trial down, Alex said, exhaling in relief. Let's keep moving. They continued deeper into the temple, each step bringing them closer to the weapon. The trials grew more difficult with each passing moment. Another trial came in the form of a massive chamber filled with water. A deep pool stretched out before them, the surface smooth and calm. But as they stepped closer, the water began to churn, and shadowy figures emerged from beneath the surface, beings made of darkness, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. This is the second trial, Aradia said, her voice steady despite the danger. The trial of fear. We must face our darkest fears to pass. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. The creatures in the water were not real, he knew that. But the fear they brought with them felt all too real. He could see the fear in Aradia's eyes as well, and he knew that the trial was testing more than just their physical strength. It was testing their resolve, their willingness to face their inner demons. We can do this, Alex said, his voice firm. We've faced worse than this. With a determined step, he plunged into the water, the shadowy figures swirling around him. They hissed and lashed out, but Alex pressed on, fighting back the fear that tried to take root in his mind. He knew that he had to keep moving forward, for Aradia's people, for humanity, and for the future of this planet. As the last of the creatures vanished into the depths, the water began to calm. The trial was over, the path ahead grew clearer, and they moved deeper into the temple. Finally, they reached the heart of the temple, a vast chamber bathed in a soft golden light. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, and on it a single glowing object. It was the weapon. Alex approached the pedestal, his heart pounding in his chest. The weapon was beautiful, its design unlike anything he had ever seen. It was both alien and familiar, a perfect blend of power and elegance. But as his hand reached out to touch it, a voice echoed through the chamber, stopping him in his tracks. You have come far, Commander Quinn, the voice said, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to come from all directions.
But do you truly understand the power you seek?
Alex froze. The voice was not from anyone in the room. It was ancient, timeless.
The weapon you seek is not just a tool,
the voice continued. It is a force, a power that can reshape worlds. But it is also a burden, one that must be wielded with wisdom and caution. Are you prepared to carry that burden?
Alex looked at the weapon, its glow now seeming more intense, almost alive. He thought of the Zartal, of the destruction they had caused, of the lives that depended on him.
And in that moment, he knew the truth. The weapon was not just about victory. It was about responsibility, about choosing the right path when all others seemed lost.
"I'm ready," Alex said, his voice unwavering.
I'll carry the burden. I'll do what it takes to save this world. With those words, the weapon pulsed with energy, and the trials of the temple faded away. The path forward was clear. But the true battle was only just beginning. The moment Alex touched the weapon, the world around him seemed to shift. The temple, once dark and full of mystery, suddenly lit up, glowing with a radiant energy that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. He could feel the power of the weapon coursing through him, its presence undeniable, as though it was now a part of him. The weapon hummed with energy, its form glowing brightly against the dark stone of the temple.
"This is it!"
Aradia whispered, her voice filled with awe. "You found it."
You actually found it. Alex slowly withdrew his hand from the weapon, but the energy continued to surge around him, wrapping the room in a gentle but undeniable force. He could feel the weight of the moment, the importance of what he had just done.
They had found the weapon. But what now? The battle for Aradia's world was far from over. This weapon could be the key to their survival. But how would they use it against an enemy as powerful as the Zartal? He glanced at Aradia, whose eyes were filled with hope and fear. This weapon could save her people, but only if they used it wisely.
"We have to go," Tarek said, breaking the silence. "The Zartal will be here soon. We've spent too much time in this temple already."
"If we don't act fast, this whole mission will be for nothing." Alex nodded. He had no time to waste. They needed to get the weapon back to the surface, back to the world outside the temple, before the Zartal arrived and destroyed everything. As they made their way back through the temple, the walls seemed to hum with energy, as though the very stone was alive, sensing their progress. The trials that had once blocked their path were gone, and the journey back was much quicker than the journey in. The weight of the weapon in Alex's hands was a constant reminder of what was at stake, but he knew that their journey was far from over. When they emerged from the temple, the sun had begun to set on Aradia's world. The sky was painted with shades of orange and purple, casting a beautiful glow over the landscape. But the beauty of the scene only reminded Alex of the urgency of their mission. The Zartal were coming, and they had no time to waste.
"Let's go," Alex said, his voice firm. "We need to get to the capital. We need to get this weapon to the people who can use it."
They made their way back to the Endeavor, where the crew was waiting. The ship was already powered up, ready to leave at a moment's notice. Alex could see the worry in their eyes as they saw him and Aradia approach, but there was also a sense of relief. They had found the weapon. Now they could fight back.
"Commander," the ship's captain said as they boarded, "we're ready for departure. The Zartal are on their way."
"It's only a matter of time before they reach this planet." Alex nodded, his thoughts already racing. They had the weapon, but would it be enough to defeat the Zartal? Could they really stand against an enemy so powerful, so relentless?
"We have no choice but to try," Alex said, his voice filled with determination. "We fight.
We make our stand here for Aradia's people. For humanity. We'll use this weapon to turn the tide." The captain gave a curt nod, and with that, the Endeavor lifted off from the planet's surface, racing toward the capital city. As they broke through the atmosphere and into the cold depths of space, Alex couldn't help but think about everything that had led him to this moment. From the quiet of the fleet to the chaos of this mission, everything had brought him here, to the edge of this battle. Back on the ship, Aradia stood at a window, staring out at the stars. The weapon was in their hands, but it didn't feel like enough. She had always known that her people were on the brink of destruction, but now, with the weapon in their possession, she couldn't help but wonder if it was truly the answer. Would they win? Would they survive? "Are you all right?" Alex asked, stepping up beside her. Aradia turned to him, her expression serious. "I don't know," she said quietly. "This weapon. It's powerful, but it's also dangerous. We don't know what it will do to us when we use it. My people have long feared it. What if it destroys us instead of saving us?" Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I know it's a risk, but we don't have any other choice. We have to fight. We have to use what we've got." Aradia nodded, though her expression remained troubled. "I know. I wish there was another way." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their mission hanging heavy between them. But Alex knew that there was no turning back now. They had made their choice. Now, they had to see it through. The Endeavor raced toward the capital, the urgency of their mission growing with every passing minute. Alex could feel the tension building as they neared the planet. The Zartal were out there, and they were coming for Aradia's world. As they approached the capital, Alex could see the city below. It was beautiful, but it was also vulnerable. The Zartal were known for their overwhelming power, their ability to destroy entire civilizations in the blink of an eye. How would they stand against such an enemy? "Ready the weapon," Alex ordered, his voice steady.
We're going to need everything we've got.
The crew worked quickly, preparing the weapon for use. Aradia stood at the front of the ship, her expression a mixture of fear and resolve. This was it, the final battle. The weapon was their last hope. "Captain, prepare to engage the Zartal fleet," Alex said, his voice filled with determination. "We're going in." As the Endeavor entered the capital's orbit, they saw the Zartal fleet in the distance. The ships were massive, their sleek, menacing forms taking up the entire sky. It was a terrifying sight, but Alex wasn't afraid. Not anymore.
"This is it," Alex said, his voice calm. "We've trained for this."
"We know what we need to do," the captain nodded. "Engaging the Zartal fleet now. All systems are go." The ship's weapons hummed to life, and the crew braced for impact. The Zartal fleet moved closer, and Alex could feel the tension in the air. It was all or nothing. There was no turning back. The battle began in an instant. The first shot from the Zartal fleet hit the Endeavor's shields, shaking the ship violently. The crew scrambled to return fire, but the Zartal ships were fast, their weapons powerful. The battle raged around them, the sky above filled with explosions and flashes of light. Alex's mind raced as he watched the enemy fleet advance. The weapon, the one that could save them, was ready, but he needed to know how to use it. Aradia stood beside him, her eyes locked on the weapon.
"Do you know how to activate it?" Alex asked, his voice tense. Aradia hesitated for a moment, then nodded.
"Yes, I think so."
"But we'll need to channel its power through the heart of Myra. It's the only way to unleash its full potential."
Alex didn't hesitate. "Then let's do it." With that, the weapon began to hum. Its power building as Aradia worked quickly to channel the energy.
The Endeavor's engines roared as they raced toward the Zartal fleet, and in that moment, Alex knew that they were going to fight with everything they had. This was their last chance. And they would give everything to save Aradia's people, to save humanity, and to stop the Zartal from destroying everything they held dear.